Hello awesome people, since 5.0 patch I see a lot more new players than I used to see before, so I really wanted to remake my guide on choosing your class video. So here it is. We're gonna talk about everything: class viability at end game, how much DPS you can put out, PvP, PvE, how wanted you're gonna be in groups, leveling, gear, etc. So if you're a new player that's planning to join us, or if you're a new player that just joined us and you're having doubts about your current class, or even if you're an old player or returning player that wants to change your main, then as I said before, 5.0 is the perfect time to change your main. Remember, it's not a good time to have alt or to alt around, but changing your main is awesome in 5.0. So let's get going. We're going to choose Asmodians, of course, and before we start, I need to tell you one important thing. Throughout the video, when I'm going to be comparing the DPS that the classes can put out, I'm thinking about equal skill, equal gear, equal ping, and equal practice on that specific class compared to the exact same ingredients. Yeah, just to be fair, I'm not comparing a super good geared Templar with a very bad geared Ranger, and oh my god, the Templar does more. Yeah, just for you guys to know. Starting with Warriors, and speaking about Templars, Warriors branch out at level 9 into Templars or Gladiators. Yeah, Warriors wear plate as a main type of gear, but they can wear chain, leather, cloth as well, which makes for a very interesting soup of sets that you can come up with at end game. Yeah. As for Templars in PvE, you're going to be taken seriously as a tank. You're not going to be taken seriously as a DPS because Templars DPS in PvE sucks. Templars would be the fourth lowest DPS class in game in terms of PvE, of course. You can definitely pull out more damage than a Chanter, and if you try really hard, you can pull out more damage than a Bard and an Aethertech as well. Yeah. Having that said, Templars are amazing tanks, just to compensate for the fact that they're not as good DPS. So don't expect groups at end game, especially if you play with people that don't know you, to take you instead of a DPS. Most people would take a random bad, I don't know, Ranger instead of you as a Templar, even if you are better than that XYZ person that they take instead. Yeah, it's just the mentality, and it's actually supported by facts, since you can barely do more damage than a Bard and an Aethertech. Yeah. Having that said, in terms of PvP, on the flip side, Templar is super awesome. Combine the fact that Templar has skills that are super good in terms of defense, combine that with PvP accessories and a good PvP weapon, then you're gonna have a ton of fun as a Templar in terms of PvP. Yeah, cool. Gladiators are the other side of plate, the side that is not the best tanks, but really close to Templars, but obviously not the best DPS. So in terms of Gladiators, you can wear, I didn't tell you by the way, Templars can wear Greatsword as a two-hander, or if you want a dual wield, they can wear Shield plus something. It can be Shield plus Sword or Shield plus Mace or Warhammer, something with attack speed obviously. So that's the two choices for Templar. As I was saying about Gladiators, Gladiators can wear polearm, or the other side in terms of dual wielding. Polearm is a two-hander. Dual wielding, they can wear mostly any combination possible of one-handed weapons: sword plus something, mace plus something, dagger plus something. So it's really awesome to be a gladiator in terms of variety for weapons, because gladiator is more of a damage dealer than a tank. It can fulfill both roles. As I was saying, in 5.0 all the classes can tank, so gladiators can too, as well as good as well as templars, I would say, in terms of 5.0 content and future 5.1 content, for example. Gladiators have more variety in terms of DPSing if they have a good dual wield setup, and if you learn how to play this dual wield setup properly, you can be one of the top three DPSs in game as a dual wield. In terms of polearm, it's more as a PvP kind of thing, because more chance to knock down AoEs, etc., etc. So it's super cool. Gladiator in PvP is a beast, so if you like this beasty type of playstyle, then Gladiator is a choice for you. Very agile, very beasty, very AoE. Basically, it's an AoE beast. Moving onwards to scouts, which branch into assassin and ranger. I'm going to start with assassins because it's pretty straightforward. Assassins are the best DPS in game at the moment, and they will be probably for the foreseeable future. So if doing major deeps gives you pleasure, then a well played assassin is the class for you. Yeah, assassins are the rogue type of class, and they can also tank content. It's a little bit harder because they cannot wear plate which has enmity boost, so you kind of need to tank in some gear that doesn't at least have minus enmity boost like PvE leather does, and you kind of need to do a really good job in order to hold aggro as an assassin versus a Templar or a Gladiator or an Aethertech that's in your group. Yeah, so having that in mind, you can also be a decent tank. By no means the best tank, and it's not a tank for all the content because it doesn't even have taunts, but you can definitely hold your own and do a major amount of damage in terms of DPS. As I said, assassin in AION, #1 DPS. In terms of PvE, they can dual wield sword and dagger depending in which hand you put them. And as a two-hander, they can wear a bow. Obviously, nobody wears a bow because assassins do not have skills to use the bow. You can just wear it, if you wanna range DPS a guy that's running away from you in PvP or whatever. In terms of PvP, as I was saying, assassins are stealthy, bursty, and super awesome and fun to play. Yeah. They have some utility as well, and if you have a nice gear, then assassins is actually pretty griefing towards your opponent. Go around with 2 paralyzed goldstones, and there you go. You can annoy the hell out of any other class, yeah, and kill them before they react in some cases. So there you go. The other branch of scouts are rangers, and they are a ranged DPS, pure DPS class because they have no potential for tanking whatsoever, and they wear a bow as a main weapon. They can also wear sword and dagger, but that's without any skills, so it's pointless. Yeah, bow is the main thing. In terms of DPS, they are decent. They are not in a very good spot right now compared to how they used to be. They are just decent in terms of PvE DPS. Yeah. In terms of PvP, super awesome to play a ranger. They have lots of utility. They have traps, and if you're in a 1v1 scenario, you can do just amazing as a ranger. Of course, even if you're in a 2v1 scenario, you can do super good as a ranger with the amount of utility that they have. Yeah. So in terms of PvP, pretty cool to play a ranger as well. And also a plus is that they are a ranged class, so everything is, let's say, easier in PvE and PvP for a ranged class. I forgot to tell you the other classes. Warriors, both of them are melees, and the assassin is a melee as well. Yeah. Moving onwards, guys, mage. Mage branches out in 2 classes: Spirit Master and Sorcerer. Mage wears cloth and cloth only. Spirit Masters are right up there with the assassins in terms of PvE DPS. Spirit Masters have a pet, one at a time, and pet does a lot of damage, and you can do a lot of damage as well, especially starting from 5.0 onwards due to the creation points and how you can play with it. It's super awesome to be in the shoes of a Spirit Master. Spirit Master has the most annoying CC in the game, which is the Fear skill. Fear is a CC that renders your enemy useless, while you can actually DPS him and do anything you want with him, while he cannot do absolutely anything. So this is a little bit stupid. It's been stupid since AION started, but yeah, it exists in the game, and it's called a Spirit Master. In terms of PvE, you're going to be taken as a DPS. As I said, you can be an amazing DPS right up there with the Assassin, either #1 or #2. I really cannot make up my mind in between Assassins and Spirit Masters. I would, though, give the edge to Assassins because Assassins and in general physical classes in AION in theory are not capped, while magical classes are because of the magic boost cap. So Spirit Master, super awesome. In terms of PvP, holy shit. I mean, imagine doing something to someone and he cannot do anything while you kill him. They also have lots of, not lots, but they also have some really good defensive skills. As a Spirit Master, you can use your pet to shield you and take all the damage while you just have fun with the opponent. So That is pretty cool. In terms of content, you're probably, in terms of PvP, group PvP, you're always going to be focused first. So you have to pay attention to that. Yeah, and that's about it. Really good to play in both. If you're into casters, it's a caster, so pay attention to that. And a pretty squishy one if you don't have any defensive cooldowns. Yeah. The other branch is a sorcerer. Sorcerer is the mage type of thing. It's always been good. It's always gonna be good. It's never gonna be the number one DPS, but it's always gonna be either the number two or the number three, depending if there is a sorcerer, if there is a spirit master and an assassin in the group, then sorcerer is gonna be the number three DPS. Yeah, really bursty class, has lots of CCs, can put people to sleep, has lots of blinks, leaps, and so on and so forth. Pretty squishy if you catch them off guard, really awesome if they have the upper hand on you. And sorcerer is another class, spirit master is the other. Sorcerer is another class that can burst you down without you being able to do anything. Yeah, all at once. So really awesome to play. In terms of PvE, as I told you, you can be really up there. Number three, I would say, in the entirety of AION in terms of PvE DPS, and super cool in terms of PvP if you're into casters. Yeah, moving onwards to priest, guys. Priest is the classes that have healing abilities. Priest branches out into Cleric and Chanter. Now, Priest wears chain. Priest can also wear cloth. Just for you to know, if you want to be a DPS Cleric, for example, that branches from Priest, then you would maybe need a cloth set. Not a must, but it just has more DPS potential than a chain set. Yeah, cool. So as I was talking about clerics, clerics can do a really nice amount of DPS. I would put them fourth in the entirety of AION. Priests are also clerics, sorry, are also the best healers in game. They are the main healers and the best healers. There are two other classes that can heal, which is the chanter that goes from priest and the bard that goes from artist. But clerics are the main healers of the game. So you can expect at end game to be taken as easily as a healer or as a DPS. It's your choice what you apply with, and unlike Templar, which people kind of have doubts when you apply as a DPS, when you apply as a Cleric DPS, people take you right away. When you apply as a Cleric healer, people take you right away. It's a caster, it's a ranged healer and a ranged DPS as well. So if you're into being a healer, Cleric is the main role for a healer in the game. In terms of PvP, Cleric is super awesome. Clerics have dispels, so they can always dispel any condition that they have. Obviously, except the Spirit Master Fear, which I was just talking about, that is ridiculous. But clerics can have magic resist sets. Chain wearers, as you can see, have a lot of will as a base. So that clearly indicates, for example, that it can be a very potent magic resist class. Yeah. The other class is a chanter. By the way, I forgot to tell you, Spirit Master wears orbs or books, Sorcerers wears orbs or books. Clerics wear a two-handed staff with magic boost, or a dual wield mace plus shield. That's what they can wear. Mace plus shield, obviously, when you want a block set or a magic resist set. Staff is when you want to have more damage. Yeah. The other branch of priests are chanters. Chanters are amazing. I love a chanter. Chanters have the same-ish brutal play style if you want a DPS as a warrior. Sadly, for a chanter in terms of PvE DPS, due to how the chanter skills work, most of the good ones for chanter are after you knock things down. In PvE DPS, we're talking about boss fights, not trash mobs. So as a chanter, you never knock down bosses, which means your DPS is crippled by a lot. Chanter is the worst DPS in PvE in AION, and that's been the case from the beginning of the game. Yeah. Sadly, I love the chanter in PvP. I simply adore the brutal gameplay, the fact that you can heal yourself, you wear chain, you're super survivable, and all the debuffs that a chanter can passively place on the opponent. They're just really, really awesome. And it's awesome to play a Chanter also. You have mantras. You are an amazing support in PvP, in PvE as well. You're a support for yourself due to your mantras, and it's just a great feeling to play a Chanter. In terms of PvE, don't expect people to take you as a DPS because yeah, they're probably not going to. Same goes for Templars. Yeah. As a support, people are always gonna take you if they need a support. Chanter is the best support by far, a lot superior in terms of supporting than a bard, um, but kind of worse DPS in terms of PvE, and in terms of PvP, it's super awesome to play a Chanter because you can be ownage as a Chanter in PvP. Yeah, in PvE, kinda you can only play like a support in serious groups. Chanters wear staff, and same as clerics, staff for two hand, and same as clerics, they can wear mace and shield. As an engineer, there are two branches, gunner and aethertech. Gunners are super deadly in PvP. I'm just gonna start with that. Gunner can wear dual wield pistols or a two-handed cannon like the one you see here. Gunners are deadly in PvP. Obviously, magical classes have an innate advantage over plate wearers because plate doesn't have so much magic suppression. So gunners, when I see a gunner, I prepare for the worst. Yeah, I would say any gunner and any bard can do pretty well in PvP because they are such easy, let's say easier classes to play. Ranged DPS, pure DPS, no tanking capabilities, no healing capabilities, and it's really deadly. They are really fast. Just like assassins, if you have two paralyzed godstones on your weapons, then it's pretty GG. And for the other guy. And that's about it. Gunners can also wear a cannon that does more AoE damage. In terms of PvE DPS, gunners kinda suck balls. I would put gunners right above Templar Bard Aethertech. Better than Templar Bard Aethertech a little bit, but not by a large margin. Yeah. The other branch of engineers are Aethertechs. They wear this big robot in the background. Without being in their robot, it's actually the weapon is a key, but it transforms you into this robot. Without a robot, you have no skills, so you're kind of useless. You have to be inside your robot. In terms of PvE DPS, Aethertechs are right there with Templars and Bards. Maybe I would give a slight upper hand to an Aethertech in terms of PvE damage. Aethertechs can be nice tanks as well, and I'm talking about nice tanks. Aethertechs can be better tanks than gladiators, for example. They have taunting abilities more than gladiators. They have more defensive cooldowns than gladiators, and they work in a very interesting way. Yeah, Aethertechs are pretty awesome in PvP as well due to very short key disable cooldowns, and you're gonna have a blast as an Aethertech in PvP. You're super survivable, almost as survivable as a Templar, kinda same as survivable as a Gladiator. You wear chain also, so that inherently has a little bit more magic defense compared to plate, and yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun, some nice mobility as well. Kinda Aethertech a little bit lackluster in terms of creativity. I mean, as an Aethertech, you play one style, and if that style didn't really kill your opponent, you can hope to survive, and then you repeat the style again. So there's not a lot of imagination needed to play an Aethertech, but still harder to play an Aethertech than it is to play a gunner, which is, I would say, the second easiest class to execute in terms of PvP AION. Yeah. Going onwards to the easiest class to execute in terms of PvP in AION, and it's easy because it's pretty good in terms of what skills they have and their rotation. It's a ranged class. It has self heals, it has disables, it has pretty nice burst damage. It's called a bard. Artist only branches to one class, and that's a bard. Bard, I would say, if you just want to try the game and you just want to see how much fun you're going to have at end game, try a bard. Obviously, if you play a bard as good and if you're as geared as, I don't know, a gladiator or a sorcerer or I don't know, a templar or a cleric, then a bard will always be easier to execute than any of the other classes in the game. Yeah, bard wears a harp and a harp only, no dual wield possibilities. And that's an advantage. Classes that wear one weapon only obviously have an advantage because they don't need to switch, so they don't need to enchant. So it's going to be easier for you. In terms of PvE DPS, I would put Bard, as I told you before, right up there with the Templar and the Aethertech. And yeah, Bard can also support, by the way. Bard is also taken in some situations, in some groups, as a support. So yeah, you can also do that due to the fact that you can heal a little bit. You can heal, I would say, you're a worse support in terms of group buffs than a Chanter, and you're kind of a worse healer than a Chanter is as well. You are a better DPS than a Chanter. So think about that when you choose a Bard. That's about it, guys. I hope I covered everything I wanted to cover. I wish you guys have pick your class right. I wish you guys have lots of fun in the game. And in the meantime, till my next video, don't forget to subscribe and lots of love.